Hi, good morning. In today's session, we will be doing the fourth unit of business research method, that is statistical methods. In today's class, we will be dealing with the steps in processing of data, then the different types of tabulation, and the last one being the parts of a table. So, let us first just think about what's the difference between our data and information. A processed data is called as information. For example, if you are taking into certain names like Himachal Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and things like that, this is data. When we are telling that these are the states in India, it is an information. So, processing our raw data, we will get information. So let us see what are the different steps involved in processing of data. The first one is preparing raw data. In preparing the data will continue in raw form unless they are processed and analyzed. So the data will be collected and scattered. It will be in different ways by which it will be collected. For example, it can be a uh, recording, it can be an observation, it can be a questionnaire. So the data can be collected in different various forms of data collection method. So in order to prepare it, we have to make it something which can be used. So for that purpose, we will be using four methods. First one is editing, second one is coding, third one is classification, and the fourth one is tabulation. What do you mean by editing? Editing is a process of examining the collected raw data to detect for the errors and omission and to correct these when possible. For example, in a questionnaire, certain questions which you wanted certain answers may not be properly given by many respondents. In that case, we have to remove that question for data analysis. And there will be certain cases where the respondent wouldn't have responded to certain questions or made a different answer for the question which you uh, had given. So in that case, either you have to correct the answer or you have to omit it. So that is called editing. Next one is coding. Coding refers to the process of assigning numbers or symbols to answers so that the response can be put into a limited number of category or classes. For example, in case of gender, for female you can give 1, for male you can give 2. It is up to you. So these coding, if you want to do, what are the different rules which you have set should be clearly mentioned. Sometimes, even before the collection of data, there will be a predefined coding system which you will be already made. So, those numbers and symbols which are related to the answers of the responses should be grouped in order to have a limited number of classes or categories. What are the steps in coding is, first one, study the answer. Second one, develop a coding frame. Either it can be there or you will be using the coding manual which will be prepared by you. So these are the steps in coding. The next one is classification. Classification is mainly used to reduce the large mass of data into homogeneous group for meaningful analysis. It can be done in four different ways. First one is geographical classification. Second one is chronological classification. And there are qualitative and quantitative classification which will be used. Okay. So it can be based on the attributes or it can be according to the class intervals. Okay, so that is about classification. So classification is mainly done to reduce the large mass of data into homogeneous group for meaningful analysis. So once we have prepared the data using editing, coding, classification and tabulation, next comes summarizing the data. Summarizing of data is making the data into two groups. One is relevant data, the other one is irrelevant data. Relevant to your research and irrelevant. Okay. So summarizing of data includes three steps. First one is classification of data, second one frequency distribution, and the last one use of appropriate statistical tools. In usage of statistical tools, there are three different tools which are being used. First one is frequency distribution, other one is measures of central tendency. Frequency distribution can be displayed using frequency table, histograms or polygons. Measures of central tendency, you have already learned mean median mode, and we have measures of dispersion, how each value is moving away from a central tendency, like range, mean deviation, variance, standard deviation, coefficient of variation. So the different tools which are used as statistical tools are frequency distribution, measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. So the steps in processing of data: first one, prepare the raw data by editing, coding, classification and tabulation. After that, summarize the data and use statistical tool to analyze the data so that it is converted into information. Okay, so this is the definition. Editing of data is a process of examining collected raw data to detect errors and omissions and to correct these when possible. Then coding is a process of assigning numbers and other symbols so that you are making it into limited number of categories or classes. Classification is reducing the large mass of data into homogeneous groups. And last one, tabulation. It is making or counting the number of cases that fall into various categories. Okay, so let's see what are the different types of tabulation. So before going to different types of tabulation, let's see what is the definition of tabulation. Tabulation refers to counting the number of cases that fall into various categories. It is defined as the measurement of data in columns and rows. Okay, it involves sorting and counting and summarizing the data. Okay, there are two types of tabulation. One is called symbol tabulation, the other one is called complex tabulation, or symbol table and complex table. A symbol table is one where you are only recording one characteristic. For example, see in this one, we have just taken one characteristic, that is population. Okay, so this type of tabulation is called one-way tabulation. In the second one, we are taking two characteristics. One is population, the other one is gender. So here we are taking two characteristics to be represented in your table. So that is called two-way tabulation or double tabulation. In three-way, we will be taking three characteristics. Here if you have seen, there is population, gender as well as education, that is literate or illiterate. In such cases, it is called three-way table. And the next type of tabulation is cross tabulation. Okay, cross tabulation is a method to quantitatively analyze the relationship between multiple variables. It is also known as contingency table or cross tabs. It is used to understand the correlation between different variables. For example, this is a cross tabulation, where you are seeing gender as well as right hand or left hand. If you see the number of right-handers and left-handers will vary according to the gender. Okay, we see that the males more are left-handers than females. Okay, so in order to know the relation between gender and the use of hand, you can use cross tabulation. The last one is manifold tables or tabulation. In this one, uh, when information about different mutually related attributes or characteristics of a phenomenon are to be displayed, we will be using manifold. If you have seen, this is the one characteristic, this is another characteristic, and this is different characteristics. Based on that, we are making the differentiation. Okay, so these are the different types of tabulation: one way, two way, three way, cross tabulation, and manifold tabulation. And the first symbol tabulation is one way, all others are complex tabulation. Now, what are the different parts of a table? Different parts of the table is title of the table, which is placed above the table, caption or title of the column, which will appear on top of the column. For example, number of adults is the main column heading, which is called as caption or title of the column. Then there will be raw headings, which is called as stumps. Stumps refers to the title given to the rows. And there is something called body, which is nothing but which will fall here. Okay. So that is body of the table. And the next one is end note or footnote. If you have seen, if you are using any code for your characteristics or variables, you will be explaining it to the person who was using this data for their study. For example, here M stands for married and U stands for unmarried. That is called endnote or footnote. And the last one, if you're taking any table from from a secondary data, you have to mention the source note. That is mentioning from which place you have got that table. So in today's class, we basically dealt with the steps of processing of data, types of tabulation, then what are the parts of a statistical table, and we just go through the definitions of editing, classification, coding, and tabulation. Thank you very much. If you have any doubts, please feel free to contact. Thank you.